My name's Yama, and as an average language learner, I've decided to test out different language learning methods in order to find the most effective one. Today, I want to test out the method of using Omegle, an app designed for you, yes you, to meet random strangers. Teach me some Russian.
What do you want to know?
How are you?
Как дела?
Как дела? I thought it was иди отсюда ты толстая сука. The theory is that speaking with native speakers is the gateway to fluency. The problem is that finding native speakers is not always easy unless you live in a foreign country or have an infinite supply of money for expensive tutors. Omegle allows you to select specific countries so that you can technically get hours of free conversation practice for no money. But does this really work in practice? This seems way too good to be true, so I'm gonna give myself 1 week to absolutely grind Omegle and see if I can improve my current level of French. Let's go. I'm not gonna lie, the first day started out a bit rough. Salut. A lot of people would just instantly skip me once I said anything in French. Salut. Salut. Salut.
Merhaba. What?
Vous êtes français?
I can't understand.
Do you speak French?
No.
Man.
English.
Nonetheless, after about 5 minutes, I ran into this guy from Algeria who, like me, was learning French. Vous êtes français?
Un peu.
Tu apprends le français?
Ouais, j'essaye.
It was clear that his French was a lot better than mine. He told me that he learned French from school, but it wasn't so franco that I could still understand almost everything he was saying.
Ouais, c'est chaud, sinon j'habite à Marseille, moi.
Ah, ça c'est le sud de la France.
C'est le sud. Ouais, il n'y a pas beaucoup de froid. Tu vas... T'arrives pas à vivre à Marseille, toi. Il y a beaucoup de chaleur ici.
Chalet? Qu'est-ce que c'est?
La chaleur. Chaud, il fait chaud.
Oh, il fait chaud.
Ouais, viens en Algérie, frère.
Peut-être.
Trop belle, bonne soirée.
Ouais, toi.
Allez, ciao, ciao.
Ciao. After saying goodbye to him, I matched with a real Franco. Salut.
Salut.
Vous êtes français ou quoi?
Oui.
She was eager to improve her English, so we agreed that I would speak to her in French and she would respond in English. Est-ce que tu es ici parce que tu veux pratiquer ton anglais ou quoi?
Oui, c'est plutôt ça.
We can speak English as well if you want to practice some English.
Oh my god, slowly.
Ok. Je peux parler français et tu vas répondre à l'anglais.
Bonne idée.
This worked out great because it gave me the opportunity to practice speaking without having to focus on trying to translate some super fast French to English.
Tu te débrouilles bien.
Débrouille, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Oh là. Tu parles bien français.
Oh, merci,
Pour
merci.
Tu ne parles pas français.
Ton français est bien aussi, je pense.
Je suis née ici. Ça compte.
And we had a solid 30-minute conversation about simple questions such as where are you from, what do you do for fun, and etc. It went pretty well.
Plus tard.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
On day 2, I ran into a slight problem. Despite there being upwards of 200,000 people who use the app, I wasn't running into very many Francos, and the ones I did run into skipped immediately once they realized that I wasn't a Franco. Salut. It was a little bit demotivating to spend so much time simply looking for people, but eventually I found a Franco willing to talk. Salut.
Salut.
Vous êtes français? This girl was from Morocco, but lived in and spoke fluent French. I had trouble understanding her accent at times, and it seriously tested my ability to understand metropolitan French.
Je t'ai dit que tu veux quoi comme arabe, tu veux quoi comme expression en arabe.
Quoi? Je comprends pas. Despite the many times where I didn't understand what she said, she was nice enough to repeat herself and slow down the speech a bit. Tu as déménagé depuis 3 ans, tu as dit?
Non, juste un an.
Oh, juste
mais
un an.
Il me reste ici, il me reste 4 ans ou 3 ans, comme ça.
Ok, alors, je comprends.
Like, for real.
Qu'est-ce que tu préférais, Morocco ou la France?
Morocco.
Oui? Pourquoi?
Au Maroc, il y a tout.
Alors, pourquoi tu as déménagé?
Juste pour les études. Après 3 ans ou 4 ans, je vais retourner au Maroc. C'est 100%.
Day 3 was when I started to get a good hang of conversations. I was able to get the gist of the metropolitan accent, and at this point, I could understand almost everything. 1h20.
Du matin?
Non. À l'après-midi.
Ah,
Oui.
Salut. Salam alaikum, my friend.
Ah, vous êtes français?
Je suis française, oui. We speak English as well.
J'apprends le français, alors je dois pratiquer.
Ah, d'accord.
At this point, I started running into a lot of people who were under the French location, but weren't actually from France. Salut. Vous êtes français?
Hi. No English, sorry.
Man. I was super confused when this all started happening, and I only really found out what was happening a few days later. But I'll talk about it then. Salut.
le Canada. Canada, ils parlent...
Anglais et français.
C'est bien ce que je me disais.
On day 4, I decided to ramp things up. You see, I was getting really comfortable with just striking up a conversation with people because basic conversations always go the same way. Hi, how are you? Where are you from? What's your favorite word in Uzbek? Boom, conversation. It's kind of like chess in a way where every game usually starts off in a similar way and then progresses into the unknown as you add layers. If you memorize an opening, you will know how to theoretically play it. In conversations, if you can learn the basics of a conversation and predict the type of questions that people are going to ask, you can basically get away with not actually knowing the language. In other words, if I just memorize the same 5 questions and the same 5 responses, I can technically speak to anyone in any language. It's literally cheating at language learning. But I forgot to mention one thing. I don't like cheating. I think it's stupid and it doesn't really teach me how to speak the language. So, in order to reduce this easy way of cheating the system, I decided to switch things up. After the same simple conversation starters, I tried to ask some very specific questions that would require them to actually answer in full sentences and test my ability to understand spoken French. Quel est ton passe-temps à Séville?
J'aime beaucoup la musique.
Ah, je comprends. Tu chantais aussi ou?
Non, enfin, j'aime bien chanter, mais je sais pas chanter.
Oh, peux-tu chanter une chanson?
Non. non, on va éviter.
This worked great, and I was exposed to a lot more new vocabulary and simultaneously tested my ability to respond to more concrete ideas.
My English, it's so bad, but
Non, c'est
your
bien.
French, it's alright.
Merci. Salut.
Salut.
Vous êtes français?
Non, je suis pas français, mais j'habite en France.
Qu'est-ce que tu aimes faire pour ces passe-temps?
Bah, je jouais à la guitare et je faisais un peu du sport.
La guitare est plus difficile pour moi.
Oui, la guitare, en vrai, ça commence plus difficile, mais après, dès que tu deviens top.
J'ai essayé quelques années depuis et mes doigts s'est blessé. They were injured tout le temps parce que, oui, à cause de ça.
Oui, je comprends, ça se passe avec n'importe qui, genre, c'est normal quand même. Take care and enjoy.
Ouais, you too, man. Thanks. On day 5, I continued to use this approach by asking some very specific questions. D'où venez-vous?
De Paris.
Oui, ça.
Allez, vas-y, Nardi.
I met these sophisticated young gentlemen from Paris.
يا زلمة بخنوا عمال الله.
Yo.
Ça, brother.
Salut,
Yo.
vous êtes français?
Non, mais on habite en France.
They showed me what the average day in Paris looks like.
That's true.
I also found out why I was meeting a lot of people from France who didn't even speak French. Vous êtes français ou quoi?
No, I cannot speak French.
Oh no? Why does it say you're from France though?
I'm from Iran and MiniChat is filtered here, so I have to use a VPN and it's connected now to the France servers.
Yeah, it turns out people from Northern Africa, Middle East use a VPN because OmiTV, Omegle, and Chat Roulette are blocked for them. So that's why I was running into so many of these fake French people. It's not that they didn't know French, they just straight up weren't French. On the final day, I found a neat surprise.
Baby.
Salut.
Хорошо.
Tu parles russe, quoi?
Godzilla.
Quoi?
Godzilla.
Как дела? Wait, ты говоришь по-русски? This was the very first time I've ever heard a French person speak Russian, and I was taken back at first, but I knew that we were gonna be good friends.
C'est quoi ça, понимай? Не понимай, понимай.
Не понимай, понимай, mais ça veut dire comprendre.
Ah, tu parles anglais aussi? Ah, you can speak in English. Never mind, bro. I can speak in English.
Pourquoi tu veux apprendre le russe?
Parce que moi, j'ai beaucoup de des amis qui parlent russien, tu vois. Il est ukrainien, il est russien. Et moi aussi, j'étais en copine.
Oui, tu peux trouver une meuf, oui.
Bah ouais, c'est pour ça. Et toi, tu t'appelles comment?
Gordon. Et toi?
Gordon.
Gordon, oui.
Gordon.
Oui.
Et moi, je m'appelle Omegle.
Ah oui, c'est un nom intéressant, oui.
Bah ouais, mais moi, je suis afghan. J'habite à France, tu vois. À la France. Mais si, je parle pas bien, mais ça va. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, and I also met the French Mike Tyson.
En boxe.
Oh, the box.
Oh, the right hand!
1 week of only using Omegle to learn French. Does it actually work? Kinda. I mean, my French was and still is pretty but I definitely got more comfortable asking and answering questions. Here's a quick before and after. Pas de neige maintenant, mais je pense que depuis quelques semaines, il y a...
Ah, j'ai compris.
There will be. Il va neiger.
Et...
Alors,
Maintenant, tu habites à Canada?
Oui, je viens de... c'est une province qui s'appelle l'Ontario.
Parce qu'il est trop gentil, il parle mieux avec tes amis, tu vois, comme ça. You understand what I say?
Oui, 90% de... Qu'est-ce que tu as dit? Je comprends, oui. One thing I want to know is that I didn't just improve my speaking, but I also improved my comprehension because I was exposed to a lot more different accents and different ways of speaking the language. Would I recommend you use Omegle to learn new language? You know what? Yeah, it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with giving it a shot, but it's definitely far from the perfect way to learn a new language. And in order to use it in the most effective way, you already have to have a basic understanding of your target language. This is because not everyone outside of America speaks English, so you don't want to be sitting there in a Mexican standoff where none of you guys know a common language. Like, you could technically argue that it can still be useful with zero knowledge, like seen in George Mason's video, but he definitely had to put in a lot more work and effort to even just understand what the other person was saying. Overall, I think Omegle should simply be a supplementary method of learning a new language, and it shouldn't be just the only way that you do it. Use whatever other sources you use, and then use Omegle to practice your conversations. I think if you set aside the negatives and simply prioritize the positives, Omegle can definitely be an excellent tool for you to practice your conversations without having access to a foreign country or other tutors. Let me know what other methods I should test out, and that aside, I will see you next time.